Jerusalem is one of the oldest cities in the world. People from different religions love this city. It is very special to Jews, Muslims, and Christians. Each group believes it is holy for them. That is why Jerusalem is not just a city. It is a place full of deep feelings and strong history. But Jerusalem is also at the heart of a long conflict. Both Israelis and Palestinians say the city belongs to them. This has caused many fights and much pain. For many years, peace has been very hard to find. In this video series, we will explore the story of Jerusalem. We will look at its past and present. We will learn why it is so important to both sides. We will also try to understand the people who live there. You will see how history and religion mix with politics. You will learn what makes Jerusalem so complicated. And you will see how hope still lives in some hearts. This journey will help you see the full picture, not just from one side but from both. Let us begin this journey together. Let us try to understand the story of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is not just a city. It is a place full of meaning and emotion. For many people around the world, it is a dream. For others, it is a memory, a symbol, or even a struggle. It holds deep value for Jews, Muslims, and Christians. For thousands of years, this city has stood as a center of faith. It is one of the oldest cities in the world. But its importance is not only about history. It is about what the city means to people today. For the Jewish people, Jerusalem is the ancient capital. It is the place where the first and second temples stood. The Western Wall is all that remains of the Second Temple. It is the most sacred site for Jews. They pray there, they cry there, they remember their past. They also believe that one day the temple will be rebuilt. Jerusalem is written in their prayers and in their hearts. For Muslims, Jerusalem is the home of Al-Aqsa Mosque. It is the third holiest site in Islam after Mecca and Medina. They believe that the Prophet Muhammad traveled here during the night journey. He prayed with all the prophets before rising to the heavens. The Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa are built on the same hill where the Jewish temple once stood. This makes the site holy for both religions. For Christians, Jerusalem is the place where Jesus walked. He preached here, he was crucified here, and rose again. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre marks the site of his death and resurrection. Pilgrims from around the world come to visit this sacred land. They walk the same streets and touch the same stones where they believe history changed forever. This deep spiritual connection makes Jerusalem very special. But it also makes it a place of tension. Each group feels a strong bond with the city. Each wants to protect its own places and stories. This often leads to disagreement and sometimes violence. Jerusalem is also important in politics. In 1948, the State of Israel was created. West Jerusalem became part of Israel. East Jerusalem was taken by Jordan, but in 1967 Israel took control of East Jerusalem after a war. Since then Israel has claimed all of Jerusalem as its capital, but Palestinians also see East Jerusalem as their capital. They want it to be part of their future state. This is one of the biggest problems in the conflict. Most countries in the world do not recognize all of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. They keep their embassies in Tel Aviv. Some countries moved their embassies to Jerusalem in recent years. But many still believe the city's final status must be decided through peace talks. For people living in Jerusalem, daily life is not simple. The city is divided in many ways. There are Jewish neighborhoods and Palestinian neighborhoods. There are checkpoints and police patrols. There is fear, but also hope. Some people try to live in peace. Others fight for their rights and their beliefs. Jerusalem is a mirror of the larger Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It shows the pain, the dreams, and the differences between the two sides. But it also shows the chance for peace. If this city can find a way to bring people together, then maybe there is hope for the whole region. That is why Jerusalem matters. It is more than just stones and buildings. It is a city that carries the prayers and tears of millions. It is a symbol of faith and also a ground of conflict. It holds the past, the present, and the future. In this video series, we will take you through the story of this unique city. We will explore its long history and its many faces. We will hear voices from both sides. We will try to understand why this city matters so much, not just for Israelis and Palestinians, but for the world. We will walk through the old city. We will visit the Western Wall, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. We will speak to people who live there, young and old men and women, Jewish, Muslim, and Christian. We will learn how history shapes the present, and how the past is still alive in every corner of this city. We will not take sides. We will try to listen. We will try to understand. Because before peace can happen, people must be heard. And before people can be heard, we must learn. Jerusalem matters because it is a city of life. It is a city of pain, but also of beauty. It is where dreams are born and sometimes broken. But it is also where peace could begin. So join us on this journey. Let us look at the heart of the conflict. Let us learn why this city stands at the center of it all. And let us ask what kind of future Jerusalem can have. A future of division, or a future of peace. The story begins here in Jerusalem. Jerusalem has a long and deep history. People have lived there for thousands of years. It has been destroyed and rebuilt many times. Kings and empires have ruled it. Each left their mark on the city. The earliest records of Jerusalem go back to over 4,000 years. It was first called Jerusalem. That means city of peace. But sadly, the city has seen more war than peace. In the Bible, it is mentioned many times. For Jews, it became the capital under King David around 1000 BC. His son Solomon built the first temple there. This temple was the heart of Jewish worship. Later, the Babylonians destroyed it. Many Jews were taken away from their land. After some years, they returned and built the second temple. That temple also stood for many years. But in 70 CE, the Romans destroyed it again. The Western Wall is the only part left from that second temple. It is a very holy place for Jews. They come there to pray and remember their past. For centuries, Jews have turned to Jerusalem in their prayers. They say, next year in Jerusalem, even if they are far away. After the Romans, many different powers ruled Jerusalem. The Byzantines, the Persians, and the Islamic caliphates. Then came the Crusaders from Europe. They took the city and it was a bloody battle. Many people were killed. Later, the Muslim leader Saladin took back the city. That was in 1127. He allowed people of all faiths to live there. This made Jerusalem once again a city for many. The Ottomans ruled the city for 400 years, from 1517 to 1917. During their time, the city was mostly peaceful. They repaired old buildings and built new ones. They cared for all religions. In 1917, the British took control after World War I. They made promises to both Jews and Arabs. This created confusion and anger. More Jews began to move to the land. They wanted a place to call their own after years of suffering in Europe. But the local Arab people felt their land was being taken. Tensions started to grow. Fights and riots happened in Jerusalem and nearby areas. Both sides felt they had a right to the land. In 1947, the United Nations made a plan. They wanted to divide the land into two states, one for Jews and one for Arabs. Jerusalem would be a special international city. It would not belong to any one side. But this plan was not accepted by the Arab side. They felt it was unfair. In 1948, the British left and the State of Israel was declared. War broke out between the new Israeli state and the Arab countries. This war changed Jerusalem. The city was divided. The western part went to Israel. The eastern part, including the old city, went to Jordan. Many people were forced to leave their homes. Jewish families left East Jerusalem. Palestinian families left West Jerusalem. It was a painful time for all. For the next 19 years, the city stayed divided. Jews could not go to the Western Wall. Many Jewish holy places in East Jerusalem were damaged or destroyed. Palestinians living in East Jerusalem became Jordanian citizens. Life was not easy on either side. In 1967, another war happened. This was called the Six-Day War. In that war, Israel captured East Jerusalem from Jordan. They took control of the whole city. Many people celebrated this. Others felt afraid and angry. Israel said all of Jerusalem was now its capital. They joined East and West Jerusalem into one city. They started building new neighborhoods in the eastern part. These are called settlements. They are built on land where Palestinians also live and claim as their own. This has led to many problems. The United Nations and most countries do not accept these settlements. They say they are illegal under international law. But Israel does not agree. They say they have a right to build in their capital. For the Palestinians, East Jerusalem is very important. They want it to be the capital of their future state. They feel they are losing more land each year. Many live in fear of losing their homes. They face house demolitions and land seizures. They also face limits on building permits. Palestinians in East Jerusalem have a special legal status. They are not citizens of Israel. They are permanent residents. This means they can live and work in the city. but they do not have the same rights as Israeli citizens. They can vote in local elections, but not in national ones. Some have tried to get Israeli citizenship, but many refuse to apply. They say doing so means accepting Israeli control over their city. Others apply but are often rejected. It is a difficult situation. Today, Jerusalem is a mix of old and new. Modern roads and rail lines run next to ancient walls. Tech companies and schools grow beside religious sites. But the divide between the two communities remains strong. There are checkpoints and police patrols. There are protests and sometimes violence. There are walls that separate neighborhoods. There is mistrust on both sides. But there are also moments of hope. Some groups try to bring people together. They run schools for both Jewish and Arab children. They organize dialogue between youth. They teach that peace starts with listening. These groups are small, but they give hope. They show that not everyone wants to fight. Some people want to live side by side. They want to understand each other. They want to build a better future. Jerusalem is not only a city of conflict, it is a city of culture. It has museums, theaters, and festivals. It has markets full of spices, music, and color. It has people from many backgrounds. Each adds something to the soul of the city. The Old City is a small area but full of meaning. It has 4 quarters. The Jewish quarter, the Muslim quarter, the Christian quarter, the Armenian quarter. Each one has its own feel and story. People walk its narrow streets every day. Tourists take photos. Pilgrims pray. Children play. Shopkeepers call out to customers. Life continues. But under the surface, the conflict is always there. A small event can lead to a big clash. That is why peace in Jerusalem is so important. If peace can happen here, it can happen anywhere. The history of Jerusalem teaches us many lessons. It shows how strong faith can be. It shows how deep pain can run. But it also shows the power of hope. Even after many years of struggle, people still believe in peace. In the next part of this series, we will look at the 1948 war. We will see how it divided the city. We will hear stories from people who lived through it. And we will try to understand how that war changed Jerusalem forever. In 1948, a big war broke out in the land of Palestine. This war started after the British left and the state of Israel was declared. Jews were happy because they finally had a country after many years of pain and suffering. But the local Arab people were very angry. They felt their land was taken from them. They did not agree with the UN plan that divided the land into 2 states. They believed the whole land was theirs. After Israel was declared, 5 Arab countries attacked. They were Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq. The war lasted for several months. It was hard and painful for everyone. Many people died. Many lost their homes. This war is called the War of Independence by Israelis. Palestinians call it the Nakba, which means the catastrophe, because during this time, over 7,000 Palestinians had to leave their homes. They became refugees. They left their villages and cities hoping to come back. But most never did. Jerusalem was at the center of this war. Fighting in the city was very strong. There were battles in many parts of Jerusalem. The Jewish part of the Old City was attacked. The Jewish quarter was under siege. There was not enough food or water. People were scared and trapped. Finally, the Jewish fighters in the Old City had to surrender. Jordanian soldiers took control of the area. They destroyed many homes and synagogues. The Western Wall was closed to Jews. For the next 19 years, no Jews were allowed to pray there. The city was then divided into 2 parts. West Jerusalem became part of Israel. East Jerusalem, including the Old City, went to Jordan. There was a wall and barbed wire between the 2 sides. People could not cross. Families were separated. The city felt broken. In West Jerusalem, many Palestinian homes were empty. The families who lived there had fled during the war. Some left because of fear. Others were forced out. These houses were later given to Jewish families who had lost their homes in the East. At the same time, in East Jerusalem, Jewish homes were taken by Jordanians. The people were not allowed to return, so both sides lost homes. Both sides had pain. Jerusalem was no longer one city. It had 2 governments, 2 police forces, 2 bus systems, and even 2 phone lines. People on one side could not see people on the other side. The heart of the city, the Old City with all the holy places, was now closed to half of its people. During this time, Israel made West Jerusalem its capital. It moved government offices there. It built new neighborhoods and roads. The Knesset, which is Israel's parliament, was placed in the west part of the city. But most countries did not accept this. They said Jerusalem was a special city, and its final status must be decided later. So they kept their embassies in Tel Aviv. In East Jerusalem, Jordan also made changes. They cared for the Muslim holy sites. The Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock were under the control of the Islamic Waqf. They were open to Muslims from many places, but Christian and Jewish holy sites were limited in access. The Jewish sites in the Old City were mostly left in ruins. The cemetery on the Mount of Olives was damaged. Many old gravestones were broken or used for other things. This made the Jewish people very sad and angry. The Christians in Jerusalem also felt the impact of the war. Many churches were damaged. Christian schools and institutions were affected. Some Christian families left the city because they felt unsafe. The number of Christians in Jerusalem began to fall. It was a loss for the city, which was once home to a large Christian population. Life in divided Jerusalem was difficult. There was fear and tension. Every now and then, shots were fired across the border. Soldiers stood watch on rooftops. Walls and fences kept people apart. Children grew up not knowing the other side of their city. They only heard stories from their parents. Yet in this time of division, people still hoped for peace. There were a few brave voices on both sides. They said the fighting must stop. They said people must talk, but these voices were often ignored. Most people were too hurt, too angry, or too afraid. From 1949 to 1967, the city remained divided. During those years, the world changed. More Jews came to Israel from around the world. They settled in West Jerusalem and in other parts of the country. Palestinian refugees moved to camps in the West Bank, Gaza, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. Their lives were hard. They waited and waited to return, but the return never came. In 1956, there was another war between Israel and Egypt. It did not change Jerusalem, but it made the region more unstable. People feared more wars would come. The idea of peace seemed very far away. Still, daily life went on. In West Jerusalem, people built new houses, schools, and parks. In East Jerusalem, people tried to live normal lives under Jordanian rule. Markets were full of spices and fruits. The call to prayer was heard from mosques. Church bells rang on Sundays. But the wall between the two sides never went away. Many families remembered the homes they lost. Old keys were kept as symbols. Some people believed one day they would return. Others said it was time to move on. But the pain stayed in their hearts. The city of peace had become a city of division. The name Jerusalem means peace, but there was no peace in the city. There was only silence between two sides who once lived together. Then in 1967, another war changed everything. But that is a story for the next part of this series. For now, we must remember how 1948 changed Jerusalem forever. The city was cut in half. People were pushed out of their homes. Holy places were closed. And a long road of conflict began. Understanding this part of history is important because it shows us how deep the wounds are. It helps us see why both sides feel hurt, and it reminds us that the path to peace must begin with truth. In the next part, we will look at the Six-Day War. We will see how Jerusalem became one city again, but also how new problems began with that change. We will hear from people who lived through those days, and we will ask what it meant for the city and its people. Let us keep walking through the history of Jerusalem, step by step, story by story, because every part of this journey brings us closer to understanding this city of faith, pain, and hope. In 1967, another war broke out in the Middle East. It lasted only 6 days, but changed everything. This war is called the Six-Day War. It started when tension between Israel and its neighbors grew very high. Egypt closed an important sea path to Israeli ships. Syria and Jordan also moved their armies close to Israel's borders. Israel felt surrounded and scared, so it decided to strike first. In just 6 days, Israel defeated the armies of Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. It took a lot of land in a very short time. From Egypt, it took the Sinai Peninsula. From Syria, it took the Golan Heights. From Jordan, it took the West Bank and East Jerusalem. This was a huge moment for Israel. For the first time in 19 years, Jews could go to the old city of Jerusalem. They could pray at the Western Wall again. Soldiers cried when they touched the wall. Many felt it was a miracle. People danced in the streets. They believed Jerusalem was finally united. The government of Israel quickly made a big decision. They joined East Jerusalem with West Jerusalem. They said the whole city was now their capital. They gave citizenship offers to Palestinians living in East Jerusalem, but most of the Palestinians refused. They did not accept Israeli control. They wanted East Jerusalem to become the capital of Palestine one day. From that time, East Jerusalem has been under Israeli control. The old city with its holy sites is now open to all religions. Jews, Muslims, and Christians can visit their sacred places. The Western Wall, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre are all in the same small area. It is one of the most sensitive places in the world. Israel gave control of the Islamic holy sites to the Jordanian Islamic Waqf. This was meant to keep peace. Jews could visit the Temple Mount but were not allowed to pray there. This rule is still in place today. But sometimes it is broken. And when that happens, there is anger and protest. After the war, many Jews moved to East Jerusalem. They built new neighborhoods there. These are called settlements. They are built on land that Palestinians also claim. This has caused many problems. Palestinians feel their land is being taken. They say the settlements are illegal. Israel says it has the right to build in its capital. The international community mostly agrees with the Palestinians. Most countries do not recognize Israeli control over East Jerusalem. They say the city's final status must be decided through peace talks. Many world leaders have asked Israel to stop building in East Jerusalem. But Israel continues to build. More and more settlers have moved into the area. For Palestinians, this has been very hard. Some have lost their homes. Some face house demolitions. They often find it hard to get building permits. Their neighborhoods have fewer services. Roads are not always fixed. Schools are crowded. Trash collection is not always regular. There is a feeling of unfairness. Palestinians in East Jerusalem are permanent residents. They are not citizens of Israel. They can live and work in the city. They can vote in city elections. But they cannot vote in national elections. They do not have the same rights as Israeli citizens. Some have asked for Israeli citizenship, but many are denied. Others do not apply because they feel it means giving up their dream of a Palestinian capital. It is a difficult choice. Since 1967, there have been many moments of violence in Jerusalem. Sometimes protests turn into clashes. Stones are thrown. Tear gas is used. People are arrested. Sometimes people are killed. One of the main flashpoints is the Temple Mount or Haram al-Sharif. Any change there can lead to anger and unrest. Palestinians fear that Jews will try to take over the site. Even rumors can cause big protests. The Israeli government says it has no plan to change the status, but many do not believe them. There have also been attacks in the city. Knife attacks, car rammings, shooting incidents. Each time this happens, the tension rises. Security is increased. Checkpoints go up. Fear grows. But Jerusalem is not only a place of conflict. It is also a place of daily life. Children go to school. People go to work. Shops are open. Markets are busy. Tourists come from around the world. In the old city, the streets are full of sound. People speak Hebrew, Arabic, English, and many other languages. Smells of food fill the air. Falafel, shawarma, spices, and sweets. There is beauty in the city, but it lives next to pain. Some groups try to bring peace. They hold meetings between Jews and Arabs. They run schools where both groups learn together. They help each other in times of need. These groups are small, but they show that peace is possible. Over the years, there have been peace talks. In the 1990s, the Oslo Accords gave hope. Palestinians got limited control over parts of the West Bank and Gaza. Jerusalem was left for later talks, but final peace was never reached. In the year 2000, another wave of violence started. It is called the Second Intifada. There were suicide bombings and strong military actions. Jerusalem was hit hard. Many people died. The city became even more divided. In 2002, Israel began building a separation barrier. They said it was for security. It helped stop attacks. But it also cut through neighborhoods. Some families were divided. It became harder for Palestinians to move freely. Many felt like prisoners in their own city. The barrier is not on the 1967 border. It cuts deep into the West Bank. This made the conflict even worse. Palestinians said it was a land grab. Israel said it was a wall for peace. In 2017, the United States made a big decision. It moved its embassy to Jerusalem. It said Jerusalem was the capital of Israel. This made Israel happy. But Palestinians were very angry. They felt their hopes for East Jerusalem were dying. Other countries did not agree with the move. Most still keep their embassies in Tel Aviv. Today, the city is still full of tension. There is no final agreement. There is no peace. But there is still life. There is still hope. Young people in Jerusalem grow up with many questions. They ask why things are the way they are. They ask if things can ever change. Some want to fight, some want to leave, but some want to build something better. This is the story of Jerusalem after night. A story of joy and pain. A story of unity and division. A story of faith and fear. In the next part of this series, we will look deeper into the settlements. We will see how they started, where they are built, and how they affect daily life for both Israelis and Palestinians. Because to understand Jerusalem, we must understand the ground on which it stands, and the people who call it home. After the 1967 war, things changed very fast in East Jerusalem. Israel now controlled the whole city. It also controlled the West Bank. Right after the war, Israel began building new homes in East Jerusalem. These homes were built for Jewish people. The areas where they built are called settlements. At first, only a few settlements were built, but over time, the number grew. Now there are many neighborhoods in East Jerusalem that are Jewish settlements. Some of them are very large and look like normal cities. Others are small with only a few buildings. Palestinians say these settlements are built on their land. They feel like their land is being taken from them. They say this is not fair. Israel says the land belongs to them. They believe Jerusalem is their capital, and they can build there. This is one of the biggest reasons why peace has not happened. The international community mostly agrees with the Palestinians. The United Nations says building settlements in East Jerusalem is illegal. Most countries say the same. They believe the land should be shared or decided through talks. But Israel continues to build. For the people living there, life is not easy. In the settlements, there are nice homes and good roads. There are schools, clinics, and parks. Garbage is collected on time. Streetlights work. Buses come regularly. But in the nearby Palestinian neighborhoods, things are different. Many streets are narrow and broken. Schools are crowded. There are not enough clinics. Garbage may stay on the street for days. Getting a permit to build a new house is very hard for Palestinians. Even fixing an old house needs a special paper. If they build without a permit, the house can be torn down. This makes people feel sad and angry. They feel like second-class people in their own city. Some families have lived in the same house for generations, but now they fear losing it. In some areas, settlers move into Palestinian neighborhoods. They buy homes or use legal means to take over old Jewish properties from before 1948. This creates a lot of tension. Sometimes the police protect the settlers. This makes the local Palestinians feel helpless. There are also legal battles in courts. Some go on for years. Families do not know if they will lose their home tomorrow or next year. Children grow up with this fear. Old people do not sleep well at night. The areas of Sheikh Jarrah and Silwan have become known around the world. In these places, some Palestinian families are being forced to leave. They say they have nowhere else to go. Their neighbors try to help, but the law is not on their side. Many protests have started because of these evictions. Sometimes they are peaceful. Sometimes they turn violent. Stones are thrown. Police use tear gas. People are arrested. These protests are not just about one house. They are about the whole future of East Jerusalem. People ask what kind of city it is. One for all or only for some. In response to protest, Israel says it follows the law. They say the courts are fair. They say Jews have a right to live anywhere in their capital. But Palestinians say the law is not equal. They say it helps settlers more than locals. The fight over land and homes has also changed how people move in the city. There are checkpoints and barriers in some places. Some roads are closed to Palestinians but open to settlers. This makes daily life harder. A person going to school or work may have to take a longer route. An ambulance may be delayed by a checkpoint. This affects health jobs and education. The wall or separation barrier also cuts through some parts of East Jerusalem. Some Palestinian neighborhoods are now outside the wall. But the people living there still pay taxes to Jerusalem. They are not part of the West Bank, but they do not get the same services as people inside the wall. They are stuck in between. In the past, people from East and West Jerusalem used to shop in the same markets. They used the same buses. They walked on the same streets. Now many avoid each other. Fear and mistrust have grown. There are also different schools. Most Jewish children go to Hebrew-speaking schools. Most Palestinian children go to Arabic-speaking schools. They learn different histories. They read different maps. They are raised with different stories. This creates a city with two peoples living side by side but very far apart in the heart. Even parks are sometimes divided. Some places feel safe for one group but not for the other. Still, there are some places where people try to live together. Some families send their children to mixed schools. Some groups bring teenagers from both sides to talk and share. They cook together. They play music. They learn about each other's lives. These groups are small, but they are important. They keep the idea of peace alive. They show that people can care for each other even in hard times. The question of settlements is not just about buildings. It is about future and rights. It is about who belongs where. It is about whether the city can ever be shared. Israel says it will never give up Jerusalem. Palestinians say they will never give up East Jerusalem. Each side feels the city is theirs. Each side has history and memory. Many peace talks have tried to solve this issue, but they have all failed. Some plans suggested making Jerusalem the capital of both Israel and Palestine. West for one, east for the other. But no agreement was made. The more settlements are built, the harder it becomes to divide the city. Some people say this is the goal, to make sure it cannot be divided ever again. Others say this only brings more anger and pain. They believe peace needs compromise. They believe Jerusalem can be shared if both sides are brave. Right now, the city is calm in some places and tense in others. But the pain is always close. A new home for a settler can mean a lost home for a Palestinian. A fence for safety can feel like a wall of prison. A legal paper for one can feel like a death sentence for another. This is the daily reality of Jerusalem. A city of dreams and struggles. A place where faith runs deep. And hope is tested every day. In the next part, we will look at the lives of young people in the city. We will hear how they see the future. We will listen to their hopes and fears, because they are the ones who will live in the Jerusalem of tomorrow. And their voices matter now more than ever. In Jerusalem, the young people grow up with many questions. They see soldiers on the streets. They hear sirens and protests. They watch the news and feel confused. They see the anger of their parents and the fear in their grandparents' eyes. For Israeli Jewish youth, Jerusalem is their capital. They learn this in school. They visit the Western Wall with their class. They sing songs about the city. Many feel proud to live there. They believe their country fought hard to protect it. They are told their ancestors dreamed of this city for generations. To them, Jerusalem is a symbol of faith and survival. But even for them, life is not always easy. Some have lost family members in attacks. Some are afraid when they ride the bus or walk to school. They do army service at a young age. They carry guns and are taught to stay alert. They grow up fast. They live with the fear that someone might attack them at any moment. On the other side, young Palestinians see Jerusalem as their future capital. They also love the city. They visit the Al-Aqsa Mosque with their parents. They hear stories of the Nakba from their grandparents. They are told about homes that were lost and villages that no longer exist. They grow up with hope and sadness. They want freedom and dignity. But their lives are full of challenges. They live under occupation. They pass through checkpoints to get to school or work. Their homes are at risk of demolition. Some of their friends have been arrested or injured. They feel like their voices are not heard. They are tired of being treated as outsiders in their own land. Many young Palestinians do not have citizenship. They are permanent residents. They live in Jerusalem but do not have full rights. They cannot vote in national elections. Some do not feel safe speaking their mind. Others have stopped believing in peace. Still, many young people on both sides want a better life. They want to study. They want to work. They want to travel. They want to be happy. They want to live without fear. There are some schools where Jewish and Arab children learn together. These are called bilingual or mixed schools. In these schools, children learn both Hebrew and Arabic. They celebrate Jewish and Muslim holidays. They talk about history from both sides. They make friends who are different from them. At first, it is not easy. The children are shy. They are not used to the other language. They have heard many things from home. But slowly they begin to understand. They see that their classmates are just like them. They also like music, games, and stories. They laugh and share snacks. They do projects together. They ask questions. These schools are small in number, but they give hope. They show that peace is possible when people meet and talk. Some youth groups bring together teenagers from both sides. They go on trips. They talk about their lives. They listen to each other's pain. They learn how to disagree without hate. Some become close friends. Even when they go back to their separate lives, they stay in touch. But not all young people get this chance. Most grow up in different worlds. They do not speak the same language. They do not go to the same places. They believe what they are told at home or in school. They are taught to fear the other. Social media has made things worse in some ways. Videos of violence are shared quickly. Stories are not always true. People post angry words. This makes the fear and hate stronger. Some young people feel pushed to act in anger. They believe there is no other way. Others feel lost. They do not know what to believe. They want to leave the city. They say they have no future there. Unemployment is high among Palestinian youth. Even those with a good education cannot always find a job. Some cannot study at universities. They feel trapped. Some try to move abroad. Others stay and dream of change. On the Israeli side, some youth also feel tired. They do not want to serve in the army. They do not want to live in fear. They ask why there is so much hate. Some join peace movements. They speak out even if it is not popular. There are artists, musicians, and writers who use their work to speak about life in Jerusalem. They write songs about hope. They paint pictures of unity. They make films that show the truth. They want the world to see what they see. Some people say the future is in the hands of the young. If that is true, then there is still hope. Because some young people are brave. They speak to those on the other side. They ask hard questions. They do not give up, but the challenges are real. The city is still divided. There are walls, fences, and laws that keep people apart. There is deep pain and long memory. And many do not trust. Still, every day the sun rises over Jerusalem, and children go to school. They laugh, they play, they fall in love, they dream. Even in a city of conflict, life goes on. There is power in the stories of the young. They show us the truth without politics. They talk from the heart. They remind us that peace is not only about leaders and laws, it is about people. In the next part of this series, we will explore the role of religion. We will see how faith shapes life in Jerusalem, how religion brings people together and also pushes them apart, and why the city is so holy to Jews, Muslims, and Christians all over the world. To understand Jerusalem, we must understand the soul of the people and the dreams of the youth who carry its future in their hands. Jerusalem is not just a city with streets and buildings. It is a city of faith. It is holy to three major religions. Jews, Muslims, and Christians all feel deep love for this place. Each group has their own memories, hopes, and prayers here. For Jews, Jerusalem is the center of their ancient faith. It is the city of King David. It is the place where the first and second temples once stood. Today, the Western Wall is the holiest place where Jews can pray. It is the last part of the ancient temple that still stands. Every day, Jews come here to pray. They leave notes in the cracks of the wall. They cry. They sing. They whisper words from their holy books. Many Jewish holidays talk about Jerusalem. Every year during Passover, Jews say next year in Jerusalem. Even those who live in the city still say this. It is more than a place. It is a dream, a symbol of hope. For Muslims, Jerusalem is also deeply holy. It is home to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. This is the place where the Prophet Muhammad is believed to have traveled during a night journey. He prayed there with earlier prophets. From there he rose to the heavens. This makes the area the third holiest site in Islam after Mecca and Medina. Muslims call the site Haram al-Sharif, or the Noble Sanctuary. It is a peaceful place with beautiful domes and quiet courtyards. People come here to pray 5 times a day. On Fridays, it is especially crowded. During Ramadan, the mosque fills with worshippers. The Al-Aqsa compound is a place of peace, but it is also often a place of tension. When there is trouble in the city, many Muslims gather here. They see it as a place to protect. Any move by Israel near the mosque can cause anger. Even a rumor about changes can bring thousands into the streets. For Christians, Jerusalem is the place where Jesus lived, taught, and died. It is where he was crucified. And it is where they believe he rose from the dead. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre is one of the most important churches in the world. It holds deep meaning for many. Inside the church, people touch the stone where Jesus was placed. They light candles and say prayers. Many come from far countries just to walk where Jesus walked. Christian pilgrims visit many places. The Mount of Olives, the Via Dolorosa, the Garden of Gethsemane. They follow the story of Jesus step by step. Even though Christians are a small group in Jerusalem today, their history is long. There are many churches and old monasteries. Priests, monks, and nuns walk quietly through the streets. Some Christian families have lived in the city for hundreds of years. Because of all these strong religious ties, Jerusalem is full of life and beauty. But it also faces many challenges. The holy places are very close to each other. Sometimes they sit on top of the same space. This makes every change or event very sensitive. The area known as the Temple Mount to Jews and Haram al-Sharif to Muslims is the most tense. It is the same physical place. Jews believe it is where the ancient temple stood. Muslims believe it is where the Prophet prayed. Right now, Muslims have control of the mosque area. Jews are allowed to visit, but not to pray. This rule is meant to keep peace, but not everyone agrees with the rule. Some Jewish groups want to pray on the mount. Some even dream of rebuilding the temple. This creates deep fear among Muslims. They worry their holy site will be taken. Any small event here can cause large protests or violence. The Israeli police are in charge of security at the site, but the Islamic Waqf from Jordan manages the religious side. This shared control is fragile. It works only if both sides agree. When trust breaks even for a short time, the city feels the shock. Religious festivals can also bring tension. When Jewish and Muslim holidays happen at the same time, the city gets crowded. More people means more police, more fear, and sometimes more clashes. But it can also be a chance to show respect and peace. There have been moments of hope. Leaders from different religions have met and prayed together. They have walked the streets side by side. They have called for peace and calm. They remind everyone that faith should bring love, not hate. Some groups bring children from different faiths together. They teach them about each other's traditions. They visit each other's places of worship. They break bread together and learn that kindness is stronger than fear. But these efforts are small and need support. They fight against years of mistrust and pain. Many people still hold on to fear. They remember the worst days and expect them to come again. Tourists also come to see the holy sites. They walk through the old city with cameras and maps. They follow guides who tell them stories from the Bible and Quran. They buy souvenirs and take photos. They pray and feel something deep. For many visitors, Jerusalem is the most spiritual place they will ever visit. But even tourists can feel the tension. Sometimes their tours are stopped. Sometimes they hear sirens or see soldiers. It reminds them that this holy city is still a place of struggle. Faith should bring people together. It should teach peace and mercy. But in Jerusalem, it often becomes a line that separates. People pray to the same God but live in fear of one another. Still, there are lights in the darkness. There are rabbis and imams and priests who call for unity. There are believers who open their homes and hearts. There are pilgrims who come with peace in their hands. Religion is a powerful force in Jerusalem. It shapes hearts and laws and dreams. It can build bridges or walls. In the next part of our story, we will explore how the world sees Jerusalem. We will look at how other countries get involved, how global politics shapes the local lives of the people, and how Jerusalem became a symbol far beyond its borders. Because this city is not just the heart of three religions. It is also the center of a global story still being written today. Jerusalem is not just important to the people who live there. It is important to the whole world. Many countries watch what happens in the city very closely. Leaders speak about it. News channels report every detail. Every small change can become a big story. The world cares about Jerusalem for many reasons. One reason is religion. Jews, Muslims, and Christians live in almost every country. They feel a deep connection to Jerusalem. So when something happens, their people around the world react. Another reason is politics. Jerusalem is at the center of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Many countries have tried to help solve the conflict. They want peace in the region. They believe peace in Jerusalem can bring peace in the Middle East. But peace has not come yet. Many peace talks have failed. Many plans have been made but not accepted. The question of Jerusalem is one of the hardest to solve. Both Israel and Palestine claim it as their capital. Most countries say the final status of Jerusalem should be decided through talks. For many years, most countries had their embassies in Tel Aviv. They did not put them in Jerusalem. They said it would not be fair to choose one side before a peace deal. This was seen as a way to stay neutral. But in 2017, the United States made a big decision. It said Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. It moved its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. This made many Palestinians very angry. They felt like the U.S. had taken sides. There were large protests and clashes. Some other countries followed the U.S. They also moved their embassies, but many did not. They said the status of Jerusalem must be decided between Israelis and Palestinians. The United Nations also said the same. The UN has passed many resolutions about Jerusalem. It says that East Jerusalem is occupied land. It says building settlements there is against international law. But Israel does not agree with this. It says Jerusalem is its united and eternal capital. Some countries support Israel strongly. They say Israel has the right to decide its own capital. They also say Israel protects freedom of religion for all groups in Jerusalem. They believe Israel is a strong ally in the region. Other countries support the Palestinian side. They say Palestinians have the right to live freely in East Jerusalem. They speak against home demolitions and arrests. They send aid and support to Palestinian groups. There are also international organizations that work in the city. They help with schools, hospitals, and legal support. They report on human rights and raise global awareness. Sometimes foreign diplomats visit Jerusalem. They meet leaders and visit holy sites. Their words and actions are watched very closely. A simple visit to one part of the city can cause headlines around the world. The role of the media is also very big. News from Jerusalem travels fast. Pictures and videos spread quickly. Social media adds more voices. Some reports are true, some are not, but they all have an impact. Young people around the world watch these stories. They share them and talk about them. Some protest in the streets of their own cities. They carry flags and signs. They want their governments to take action. Celebrities and public figures also speak about Jerusalem. They post messages. They give interviews. They raise money for causes. Some support Israel. Some support Palestine. Some ask for peace and justice for both sides. But not all voices are helpful. Some messages increase hate and fear. They make the conflict seem worse. They divide people further. It is important to listen to voices that bring understanding. To follow facts and not just feelings. To learn the full story. Jerusalem is often used as a symbol. For some it shows strength and faith. For others it shows loss and pain. Each side sees a different picture. But the real city is more than symbols. It is full of people with daily lives. When world leaders speak about Jerusalem, their words can bring hope or harm. They can push for peace or make peace harder. This is why many people say the international community has a big role to play. They can help bring both sides to talk. They can support fair laws. They can make sure rights are protected, but they must be fair. They must listen to both sides. They must understand the history and the people. Some peace plans have tried to offer answers. They suggest sharing the city. They suggest giving East Jerusalem to Palestine and West Jerusalem to Israel. They suggest international control of the holy sites. But none of these plans have been accepted by both sides. Trust is very low. Each side thinks the other will not keep its word. Each side remembers past pain. This is why peace talks often fail. Still, some people keep trying. There are diplomats who work behind the scenes. There are peace groups that meet quietly. There are people who believe that change is possible. Sometimes one small step can help. A new school, a shared event, a fair law. These can build trust slowly. The future of Jerusalem is not just in the hands of leaders. It is also in the hands of the people, and in the hands of the world. When the world supports justice and peace, it helps the people of Jerusalem. When the world takes sides blindly, it adds to the pain. The city is old, but the future is not yet written. There is still a chance for peace. There is still a chance to share the city, to make it a place of hope instead of fear. In the next part, we will look at daily life in Jerusalem, how people shop, work, pray, and go to school, how families live in a city of beauty and conflict, and how small acts of kindness still happen in the middle of struggle. In Jerusalem, life goes on every day despite the ongoing conflict. People wake up early to go to work, school, or prayer. The city is full of life and energy. Shops open, buses run, children play, but the daily routine is not always simple. For many, everyday life in Jerusalem is a mix of normal and stressful. In the old city, crowds walk through narrow streets. They pass by ancient walls and gates. The sound of merchants selling goods fills the air. Some shopkeepers sell spices, fruits, and clothes. Others offer religious items for tourists and pilgrims. The smell of freshly baked bread mixes with the scent of incense from nearby churches and mosques. The Old City is a place where cultures, religions, and histories meet. Jews, Christians, and Muslims live in different quarters. Each group has its own spaces for worship, shopping, and living, but they all share the same streets and alleys. For the most part, people get along. They smile and greet each other in passing. But underneath, there is always a feeling of division. At the same time, Jerusalem is a place of tension. The military presence is always visible. Soldiers stand on street corners, sometimes in groups. They watch the crowds and check bags. There are checkpoints between neighborhoods. Some roads are closed to Palestinians. It is hard for people to move freely. This division is felt most strongly in the east and west of the city. In East Jerusalem, many Palestinians feel like they are living in a separate world. The roads are narrower, the buildings older. Sometimes the streets are empty because people are afraid to walk out. There are fewer buses, fewer stores. The neighborhood feels more crowded, less developed. Many families in East Jerusalem do not have the proper permits to build houses. They live in fear that their homes might be demolished. Some Palestinian families live in houses that have been passed down through generations, but they are always worried that a simple renovation might lead to the demolition of their homes. Others are forced to live in apartments that are too small for the growing number of people in the family. In the West, Jerusalem feels very different. There are wide, clean streets. The houses are newer and the buildings are taller. Jewish families live here, often in large homes and comfortable apartments. There are big stores and shopping centers. The area has modern schools and public services work well. For Jews living in Jerusalem, daily life can be a mixture of joy and fear. They go to work, they send their children to school, and they pray in their synagogues, but they also live with the reality of security concerns. When a bus or a cafe is attacked, the shock waves are felt throughout the city. It is not just a loss of life, it is a loss of normalcy. Every attack brings fear and raises the question of what tomorrow will be like. In some neighborhoods, security fences separate Jewish and Palestinian areas. These fences are meant to protect the people inside the walls. But for many, they are also symbols of separation. They keep people apart, physically and emotionally. They remind everyone that the city is divided, even though they all live in the same place. For Palestinians in East Jerusalem, daily life is often marked by frustration and struggle. The roads may be blocked, the buses may not show up, and the stores may not have what they need. They face long lines at checkpoints and constant scrutiny from soldiers. It can be difficult to leave the city for work or to visit family. Sometimes the permit system makes it impossible to travel at all. For the young generation, the feeling of being trapped is even stronger. Many Palestinians feel like they do not have a future in the city. The job market is limited. Some cannot afford to study abroad or even attend university in Israel. They see the Jewish population getting better services, better jobs, and better opportunities. And they wonder if there will ever be a time when they will be treated as equals. The education system is another place where the divide is clear. Most Jewish children go to Hebrew-speaking schools. They learn about Israeli history, about their religion, and their connection to the land. Palestinian children go to Arabic-speaking schools. They learn about their own history and their connection to the land of Palestine. But they do not learn much about the Jewish experience or the Israeli perspective. Sometimes there are attempts at bringing the children of different backgrounds together. Some schools try to have mixed programs where Jewish and Palestinian children learn side by side. These schools teach in both Hebrew and Arabic. But these schools are few and far between. For the most part, children grow up not knowing much about the other side. Despite the tensions, there are still many small moments of connection. Sometimes people from different backgrounds meet by chance. A Jewish shopkeeper might smile at a Palestinian customer. A Palestinian driver might offer a ride to a Jewish person. It is in these simple moments that hope for peace can be found. But they are often overshadowed by the larger forces at play. In the evenings, the city takes on a different mood. The streets of the old city are quieter. People sit in cafes and drink tea. The sounds of conversation mix with the hum of the city's lights. It is a time for families to come together. But it is also a time when the city feels more dangerous. The fear of violence lingers. People are careful about where they go and when. The young people of the city are especially aware of the danger. Many have seen or heard about attacks. Some have lost friends or family members in violence. For them, going out at night is a risk. For many, the fear is something they live with every day. But even in the face of this, the people of Jerusalem continue to live their lives. They go to work, they celebrate holidays, and they raise families. They find comfort in their faith, in their communities, and in their daily routines. They continue to hold on to the hope that one day things will change. Jerusalem is a place of beauty and contradiction. It is a city of hope and pain. It is a place where people pray, dream, and live. But it is also a place where people are divided by fear, by history, and by politics. In the next part of this series, we will look at the role of international aid in Jerusalem, how countries and organizations help those in need, what kind of support Palestinians and Israelis get from the outside world, and how foreign involvement shapes the reality of life in the city. International aid plays a significant role in Jerusalem, impacting both the lives of Israelis and Palestinians. Governments, international organizations, and non-governmental groups contribute billions of dollars to projects in the city. But while aid is meant to help, it often becomes part of the complex reality of life in Jerusalem, where political struggles, historical grievances, and deep divisions exist. This aid is vital for people in need, but it also raises difficult questions about the future and about who has control over the city. For Palestinians in East Jerusalem, international aid is a lifeline. Many live in poverty, and their access to health care, education, and infrastructure is limited. The Israeli government controls much of the city's resources, leaving Palestinian communities in East Jerusalem struggling to maintain their homes and their livelihoods. The Israeli occupation, as Palestinians refer to it, makes it difficult for them to move freely, build homes, or access services. With few job opportunities, they often depend on aid from international organizations to survive. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, is one of the most prominent organizations providing services to Palestinian refugees in Jerusalem. It offers health care, education, and humanitarian aid, but its work is not without controversy. Some see UNRWA as one of the few sources of support for Palestinian families, while others criticize it for perpetuating the refugee situation without providing long-term solutions. The agency works in a highly charged political environment, facing criticism from both Israelis and Palestinians for its efforts and its stance. In addition to UNRWA, many non-governmental organizations, NGOs, work in Jerusalem, providing services such as food aid, medical assistance, and legal support. These organizations are often focused on human rights and justice for Palestinians, advocating for their rights and challenging the Israeli government's policies. They work to highlight the impact of settlement expansion, home demolitions, and restrictions on movement. But while these NGOs provide essential services, they are also seen by some as taking sides in a conflict that is deeply political. On the Israeli side, there is also significant international support. Israel receives billions of dollars in aid each year, much of it from the United States. This aid is primarily military support, but it also includes economic assistance and contributions to scientific and cultural programs. The Israeli government uses this aid to strengthen its security and to build infrastructure. It also provides grants to Jewish communities living in East Jerusalem, further solidifying its presence in the city. Israel's aid relationships often reflect its broader geopolitical alliances. The United States has long been Israel's strongest ally, providing both military and diplomatic support. This relationship is crucial for Israel's security, especially given the complex political situation in the region. For many Israelis, international aid represents a form of security and recognition of their right to live in Jerusalem. They see it as a reflection of their strength and the legitimacy of their claim to the city. The situation, however, is far from simple. For Palestinians, international aid is often seen as a way to manage the effects of occupation rather than a means of ending the occupation itself. While aid can help people survive, it does not address the underlying political issues that fuel the conflict. The Israeli government has sometimes used international aid as a tool to demonstrate its control over the city, presenting its policies as necessary for security and peace. But for many Palestinians, this security comes at the expense of their freedom and their rights. International aid can also be divisive. Some see it as a way to support one side over the other, particularly when it comes from countries with clear political positions. For example, aid from the United States is seen by Palestinians as support for Israel, while aid from Arab countries or European nations may be viewed as supporting Palestinian claims. This division creates additional tensions, making it harder for aid organizations to work in a neutral way. Aid can also fuel the cycle of dependency. Many Palestinian communities in Jerusalem have relied on international aid for years, and while it provides critical support, it also limits their ability to break free from the constraints of occupation. Instead of building sustainable systems that could reduce their reliance on aid, the focus is often on short-term solutions, like providing food, medical care, and legal assistance. While these services are necessary, they do not address the root causes of the conflict, such as the lack of political rights, land dispossession, and limited economic opportunities. For Israelis, aid is often seen through a different lens. The government uses foreign assistance to strengthen its security forces and military capabilities. Many Israelis feel that international support helps them maintain a secure Jerusalem in the face of ongoing threats. They believe that they have a right to the city and that aid is a form of protection. However, the increasing dependence on military aid, especially from the United States, has created tension with some of Israel's neighbors and led to criticisms of Israel's approach to the Palestinian issue. The influence of foreign aid has also led to a growing sense of frustration among those on both sides of the conflict. Palestinians often feel that aid is not enough to bring about real change, and that the international community is not doing enough to hold Israel accountable for its policies. Many believe that aid is a band-aid solution to a much deeper problem that requires a political resolution. For Israelis, there is a sense of frustration that they are constantly under scrutiny from the international community. They believe that aid and diplomatic pressure often focus on Israel's actions without taking into account the security threats they face. At the same time, some international organizations have pushed for a more balanced approach. They argue that aid should not only focus on providing humanitarian assistance but also work to promote peace and justice for both Israelis and Palestinians. Some international efforts aim to encourage dialogue and build understanding between the two sides. These organizations recognize that the situation in Jerusalem is complex and requires long-term solutions, including political solutions that address the needs of both peoples. One of the challenges of international aid is the difficulty of working in a city that is politically divided. In Jerusalem, aid organizations must navigate a complex landscape of local and international politics. They must work with both Israeli and Palestinian authorities, and they often face restrictions on where they can work and who they can serve. For example, some international organizations are not allowed to operate in certain areas of Jerusalem, especially those that are under Israeli control. This limits their ability to provide services to Palestinians in those areas. The challenges of aid in Jerusalem highlight the need for a comprehensive peace process. While aid can help alleviate suffering, it cannot replace the need for a political solution. Without peace, aid will only be a temporary fix. The international community has an important role to play, but its efforts must be focused not just on managing the effects of the conflict, but on working toward a just and lasting peace. This will require a commitment to dialogue, a recognition of the rights of all people in Jerusalem, and a willingness to confront the difficult truths that lie at the heart of the conflict. In the final part of this series, we will take a closer look at the future of Jerusalem. We will explore the potential for peace and how the city's future might unfold. We will look at the hopes and dreams of the people who live there, and how they see the future of their city. The road ahead is uncertain, but the future of Jerusalem remains a story still being written. The choices made today will shape the city for generations to come.